That's What to the Seed is finally back, and it is basically a segment on my channel where I go on Instagram. My Instagram followers then basically give me their experience based on that scenario. So today's topic or scenario is beauty standards. Okay, our minds were oppressed to a point where we were made to believe that there was something wrong with us, when in actuality there was nothing wrong with us at all. What the popular person feels, what is more beautiful in their eyes, and they then decide for everyone else what beauty is, right? That I had to overcome. Fupa. The rest, you literally cannot tell me because I know that's right. Now you have to force yourself to lose that certain body part just because it's deemed as unattractive to society. Where people really work on their bodies to achieve a certain shape. I get it. And if you do not have that certain shape, then you're not black enough. Hello, my beautiful people. This is part 2, and we left things off on part 1, obviously, but we're back. Don't worry not. We are back, like we never left. Anyway, let's just continue with the video. And the next scenario, a beauty standard I had to overcome as a kid is being dark-skinned. Especially if it's worse. It's even worse if you have to experience it from a young age. Yo, one thing that I realized that adults do, guys. Hey, I wanna, like, yeah. Let me address this, really. She said a beauty standard that I had to overcome as a kid. Ne? The previous one said that as well, right? The previous scenario, the previous person with this experience. What I'm about to get into, adults lying to their children, lying to them, saying that they're ugly or making them feel some type of way about being dark-skinned. Because the first discrimination hella as we face hella when you're young, when as young as you're, like, as young as an infant. Immediately when a child is dark-skinned, baromashwe barakiskobo bona umuntu yang waleana. Hey, if we're being honest, a lot of the pain that a lot of dark-skinned people face, or a lot of the pain, stems from home. I'm not saying that this is the case at all, but I just need to address this, right? A lot of the pain that a lot of dark-skinned people, like, a lot of the pain comes from home, or comes from the environment that they grew up in, or the people that they viewed, or the people that they look up to, right? As young as a person is a baby, immediately when they're born dark-skinned, and when a person is lighter, if you were to compliment, people don't really realize the amount of trauma, or parents don't realize the amount of trauma that they bring to their children, you know? Imagine just growing up in a home where you're made to feel ugly every single day of your life because you're dark-skinned. As if none of your parents are black, as if none of your parents are dark-skinned. I get that a lot of this behavior from my parents comes from their past as well, but it doesn't give them an excuse to then treat their children exactly how they were treated when they were younger. You know, it doesn't give them an excuse at all. Like, parents should make it their responsibility to break those generational curses, you know. I understand that us as generations, we're very different, right? Like, I can say for a fact that I'm completely different to my mother's generation, but it wouldn't give her the right to then pass down that trauma that she experienced as a child down to me. You know, it's not fair on the child at the end of the day, where they should be made to feel ugly or unattractive because of their skin color. Guys, let's break those curses, please. Next scenario, yes. It is always one thing after the other with the society. You are light-skinned today and glorified, then tomorrow is a whole different story. I remember how much being dark-skinned was a taboo associated with like any other black thing, evil, bad, etc. And honestly, once you come to terms and really appreciate how you look, then the ongoing levels of beauty will not shake you. She basically summed up what the whole video is about. It really is always one thing after the other with society. It will never be the same. It will never be linear. It will never be constant. It will never remain stagnant. For as long as we live in the society that we live in today, beauty standards will always change. And this is what I want to emphasize, right? These things should never, ever, ever shake you as a person, mainly because they will keep changing. Because it does mess up your mind. Because you will think, today you're beautiful, right? Because you're glorified for something. Then the next day, they deem it as unattractive. You then start to doubt yourself, obviously, as a person. Like, the one thing that beauty standards should never do to a person is shake them, merely because they will come and they will go. They will change every single year, every single day, and they will, like I said, they will never remain stagnant. It's always changing. What you have to change is your mindset. What you have to change is how you view yourself. Like she said, like the fact that like right now, black, dark skin, if we're being honest, dark skin are glorified, as they should be. Everybody should be glorified, but yes, that's besides the point. Like, dark-skinned women are glorified right now because people are seeing, or people are subconsciously agreeing to what the big boys are saying, or the influential people are saying. Because happy, another thing that I realized about beauty standards is that they're mainly set by our influencers, our celebrities. Okay, not mainly, but a part of them also comes from our celebrities, our influencers. If they see something as attractive, you then automatically, as an ordinary citizen, you will then agree with them because you're like, they know best, right? They do set the trends, right? A part of them, well, some of them do set the trends, right? So it would be quite normal as a person to view yourself as less than, because the other people, right? Other people will be looked at as beautiful, right? Let's say right now, how dark-skinned people are now deemed as beautiful, right? Not that I'm saying that they aren't, but are now deemed as beautiful, right? How do you think the opposite feels? It's just like back in the day, how light-skinned people were praised. How do people think that made dark-skinned people feel? Like, how do people think we make each other feel with these ongoing beauty standards? Like, let me say this, right? Beauty standards as a whole, like the whole concept and how it was created, that thing will never end. It will never end. I don't see it ending anytime soon. What has to end is how you view yourself, or the negative, your negative perspective about yourself. That has to end. Having a flat stomach. I addressed this earlier onto the video with having a flat stomach. Especially as anyone, really, it doesn't really matter the gender. You're having a flat stomach doesn't mean you're perfect, or having a big stomach doesn't mean you are less than. You should never get it twisted. Okay. Colorism. Okay, the next one. Colorism and fat shaming. Growing up with petite and light-skinned family was hard. That I know her family, and I know exactly. I'm literally picturing the image that she's trying to portray right now. Do you see why I'm saying it's really the environment that you grew up in? It's your parents, guys. It's your family that start these things. Sometimes for some people it starts later on in their lives, when they start going to school and they are bullied, and something of theirs, a body feature of theirs is pointed out and made to seem as if it's unattractive. But it starts, for some people, for most people, it starts at home. Especially if you're like this girl who grew up in a mainly Wait, hala bula matlhana. Immediately when she opens her eyes, all she sees is light-skinned, petite people. And I feel like at the end of the day, it is your caretaker's responsibility. It's the caretaker's responsibility to make sure that their child feels safe in their own skin, you know, because it does bring up a lot of insecurities. Even if a lot of the times, right, you like people do grow up in a very healthy, let me actually play devil's advocate, right? People really do play a good role in their children's lives, right? Parents do make sure that their children don't feel insecure in any way about any kind of body feature that they have, but the rest of the family doesn't have, right? But it's so hard not to notice it, especially if you stand out. Especially if you stand out. The fact that this person had to face fat shaming and colorism all at the same time. Guys, some things are really hard to miss, you know, especially if you see it. If you literally look at it, right, and you see, man, I'm different compared to these other people, and it won't even be a thing of their parents making them feel bad for how they are, you know, or their appearance, right? But it's really hard to miss. That's why I'm saying it really is the caretaker's responsibility to make sure that the child feels and believes that there's nothing wrong with them, you know? It can even be subliminal, right? Those little, as you notice, like, okay, let's say you do notice, like this person noticed as they were younger that they were not the same, right? Maybe no one even mentioned that they looked quite opposite from everyone else. It's really those subliminal messages that you get every now and again. Right now, like, look, as a person, you can also see why am I made to feel different? You know, why the fact that like she is aware of it right now shows that as much as we may be different from our family members, it's still, I feel like people should get that security, so much security that they don't even feel different. They don't even notice the difference, you know, because at the end of the day, they see themselves as human being, as a human. They see themselves as a person who is alive, who's breathing, and doesn't see anything different from what their family looks like, you know? And not that I'm saying when you grew up in an unhealthy environment, none of everything that I said is made to seem as if I'm saying that you grew up in an unhealthy environment, but this just goes out to everyone who did feel everything that I mentioned, right? Who felt inadequate in their families. And then another person said my body. So the last ones that I want to address, right? Like I said, this girl, my skin tone, my tights, my dark patches, and my lower body. Ne? Another person said nose bridges. I feel like if I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't mind doing my nose. Another one is acne / clear skin. One thing that white capitalism will capitalize is flaws. Flaws, guys, flaws. So as young as I am, I had an epiphany the other day, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who sees this. I'm very sure that I'm not the only one who sees this, right? I had an epiphany. Don't you guys find it strange how there are these products, right, that we use for our bodies, for our skin, for everything really, like for our acne, for our dark patches, you know, for like firming our skin. Like don't you guys just do you ever just sit down and just ask yourself, or just wonder to yourself, like, you just like, this is so weird. How is there a product that is supposed to wipe off all these blemishes, all these dark spots, all the acne that I have, my dry skin, my oily skin, you know, or how, like, guys, what I want us to realize here, you my subscribers, my beautiful people, all of these things are natural, okay? As a human being, you're bound to have acne at some point in your life, unless your genetics are different, because there are people who grew up without acne. There are some people who do have dark patches, right? Like, we're built different, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. It's natural. Everything that we have, our bodies are very natural. But what capitalism capitalizes off of how we're built, right? And they call them flaws. So they convinced everyone that puberty, most especially puberty, right? Or they convince everyone that if you have something that the next person doesn't have, or if you have something that's more than what the next person has, you should consider it a flaw. The fact that I have acne means that I have a flaw. The fact that this person has dark patches, or the fact that there are certain parts of our body that are more pigmented than the rest of our body, it's a flaw. The fact that this person's nose bridge doesn't look a certain way, it's a flaw. Don't you wonder why, guys, there are things like plastic surgery? These people make money out of you, guys. These people make money out of us. They really convince us that what we have is abnormal. You know, what we have it's natural, yes, but it's abnormal, it's a flaw. And therefore, in order for you to make it disappear, yeah, pay up. You know, you have to buy to minimize the chances of you getting, like, you have to buy a certain cream to minimize the chances of you getting acne, right? You have to buy creams that make you have an even skin tone so you can minimize those dark patches, right? You have to go to a plastic surgeon so that, like, your nose or your lips or anything really looks acceptable. Can we please be frank with ourselves, ne? The fact that, like, we are taught about these things, adolescence, ne? You're meant, okay? If not, like I said, if it's not genes, you're bound to go through those stages in your life where you will have acne, right? And they capitalize off of these things and call them flaws, guys. Let us shift our way of thinking, right? You are not flawed, okay? You are the most natural thing to ever live. You are just like that tree that you pass every day. You're just like the sand that you walk in, the grass that you mow. You are natural. Okay, that is how you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not flawed. They convinced you, they made you think that you are flawed, right? Because that's how it is. In order to look a certain way, you have to pay, right? To look a certain way. Okay. Guys, you're not flawed. Please, for anyone who's watching this, you are not flawed in any way. They made up that word. Flaw. They made it up, just like every other word they made up, obviously. But they made up that word to make you convince yourself that you're not enough. And you are. You know? Yeah. And I'm not even going to get into makeup because to each their own, you know? We all wear makeup for different reasons. I'm not going to tell you shouldn't wear makeup. I'm wearing makeup right now. And I know exactly why I'm wearing makeup right now. So I'm not going to tell you who you shouldn't wear makeup. But the main point here is you should never feel... I mean, you should always remember the fact that you are enough, you know? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not the end of the video, but it is the end of the scenarios. But I just want to get into this topic a bit further, right? There are certain things that I do feel that I need to address. And some of them I did address in the video, but just a few more that I need to address, right? Because the one of the things that I realized about beauty standards is that you are only beautiful if you look a certain way, right? If you fit into a certain criteria, if you carry yourself a certain way, right? And all of that is just a mind game. Because if you're being frank, guys, as much as they did create flaws, they created beauty as well. Beauty for what we know it as today. Remember, like I said in the video, it's all in the mind. Our bodies, guys, our bodies are mainly just a shield. Like it's mainly an armor, you know. Treat your body like an armor. It's like beauty, like your appearance, your body, it shouldn't faze you as much. It shouldn't faze you at all, mainly because you are not your body. You are not your acne. You are not your thick body. You are not your petite body. You are not your appearance. You are your spirit, your soul. That's what matters. The kind of person that you are is what really matters. That's the beauty you should be molding. That's the beauty you should be taking care of, you know. That's the beauty that you should be concerned about. This, guys, if you're being honest, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I remember I made a video about ways to better your inner self, right? Or building blocks to better your inner self. I did that intentionally because a lot of the times you focus so much on our appearance. We neglect our inner selves while we're doing that. We neglect our inner child. We neglect so much of what's in the inside that we mostly care about what's on the outside, and what's on the outside is temporary. If we're being honest, anything can happen to you, but what lives on, what is eternal, what will live infinity and beyond is what's in the inside. You can also see how filters are a huge problem. Well, I find them to be a very big problem because filters, I believe, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I also like just see it as these things that really make us believe that we lack something, right? I see it in how they, like, the amount of contour that they put on our noses, like how our noses like seem a bit smaller, how our lips are bigger on the filter, and how slimmer we are, right? I also realized how people on TikTok or on Instagram or on Twitter like post a video of themselves, right? And they're like, I felt pretty with the filter on. Do you feel pretty, or is the filter making you feel pretty? Yeah, it's just a food for thought. But anyway, I do not want to offend anyone. Like I said, just be mindful of how you use those filters, because you don't want to end up using them so much that you convince yourself that's how you look, because that's not how you look. You are not the filter. You are not your filter that you use on Instagram every day. You are so much more than that. So I saw this other video, just to close off this video, right? I saw this other video on TikTok, and it was by I Understood, and she was reading a speech by, guys, I'm so sorry that I keep doing this because I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget. A speech by Mia Mingus. I don't know if I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name. A queer disabled Korean writer and educator. And this speech was titled Moving Towards the Ugly, a politic beyond desirability, right? And this is what it says. Listen to this carefully. Okay, this is what it says, right? Moving beyond a politic of desirability to loving the ugly. Respecting ugly for how it has shaped us and been exiled. Seeing its power and magic. Seeing the reasons it has been feared. Seeing it for what it is. Some of our greatest strength. Because we all do it. We all run from the ugly. And the farther we run from it, the more we stigmatize it and the more power we give beauty. Our communities are obsessed with being beautiful and gorgeous and hot. What would it mean if we were ugly? What would it mean if we didn't run from our own ugliness or each other's? How do we take the sting out of ugly? What would it mean to acknowledge our ugliness for all it has given us? How it has shaped our brilliance and taught us about how we never want to make anyone else feel. What would it take for us to be able to risk being ugly in whatever that means for us? What would happen if we stopped apologizing for our ugly? Stopped being ashamed of it? What if we let go of being beautiful? Stopped chasing pretty? Stopped sucking in and shrinking and spending enormous amounts of money and time on things that don't make us magnificent. Where is the ugly in you? What is it trying to teach you? Guys, that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the real sum up of the video. Ugliness is also a concept that was created to make us feel obviously ugly and unattractive. But why are you running away from it? Why not embrace yourself for who you are? Why not embrace what you call ugly? Because that's the real beauty. That's what beauty is. The flaws, the insecurities, you know? Yeah. Because you'll never, at the end of the day, guys, you'll never be pretty enough. You'll never be beautiful enough. Styling. But it won't matter to me at all. It won't. For as long as I know that my beauty lies within, and that beauty is made up, ugliness is made up, beauty standards are made up, it will never faze me. It will never shake me. But yeah, guys, we officially reached the end of the video. If you've reached this far into the video, I'd like to thank you so much for doing that. More than anything, I just wanted to raise awareness of what beauty standards are, and of course, what better way to do it than the growing seed way. Let's water the seed. But yeah, man, I really hope that this video was insightful and you did learn something from it. More than anything, like I said, I just wanted to raise awareness and make you, the person who's watching this, just be mindful of how you speak to yourself and how you view beauty as a whole. But at the end of it all, what really matters is what's in the inside. And it's very cliche to say. Some people may look at this video and think, this girl, well, not but I know that it will reach the person who it's meant to reach, and that is you, the person who's watching this. Remember to do the honors of liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to The Growing Seed if you're new to my channel, beautiful. I will see you guys on my next video. Bye.